All right, should we go ahead? Let's go ahead and get started. Agenda, and roll call.
Alderman Holfer?
Here.
Alderman Day? Here. Craig?
Here.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is citizens' comment period, and the gallery looks a little bare today, so I think we can go ahead and close that. Then item number 3 is approval of minutes from the Finance Committee dated April 2024. Included in your packets. Those and motion to approve. Motion to approve. Do you have a second?
I can't since I wasn't either.
I can second it. I'll second it. Any further discussion on the meeting minutes dated April? Seeing none, all those in favor? 65% aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, let's move on to item number 4. Danielle, tell us regarding TID.
Yes, so I know back in April we had discussed the issuance of debt for some of the projects, including the sewer extension, the lanes, and then the sidewalk with the TID 9 around the Karma project. It was asked that I go back to the financial advisor and discuss a possible option of advancing funds within our accounts instead of borrowing funds. However, after talking with Ellers, I put the 5 points there that we had discussed on why we felt that borrowing was the better option. I intended to bring this to the May meeting, however, we didn't have that, and so according to the timeline that we had set together, based on the invoices that were coming in and the project that was progressing, we already moved forward with the borrowing. But as you can see there, we wanted to keep our fund balance healthy. I know that we have some projects exceeding their budgets in 2024, as well as some unforeseen issues that have come up within the sewer department, roads, and so that was one of the options that we felt was the best reason to borrow. Issuing the debt within TID 9, we would have to run it the same way that we would run, advancing the funds, we'd have to do the same amortization schedule as we would as if we were borrowing, due to the development agreement that we have with Karma. There would have been some extensive legwork to put into having future discussions with them on possibly allowing us to advance the funds instead of borrowing, due to that's what our development said. We were agreeing to borrow instead. Didn't want to have an argument on the minimum assessment guarantee agreement. There could have been a potential argument that if we advanced the funds instead, minimum assessment guarantee didn't apply. And then lower risk. We intended with the minimum assessment guarantee to protect us from the debt payments. However, with advancing the funds, it was not that option of being able to possibly put debt on the levy or have the argument of having the minimum assessment payment. So ultimately, we went forward with borrowing. I did put the pre-sale report in here for you to look at. I also put the development agreement in here for you to look at. We are going coming up. So we have our Moody's call actually on Thursday, so our bond rating call. I don't anticipate many changes because there hasn't been much change since the last bond rating 8 months ago. And then the awards sale will be July 16th and the closing date would be August 7th. So I just wanted to update you guys on that if you had any questions.
Still following that timeline for closing?
Yes.
You need the funds that soon?
Yeah, we've already been receiving notices for it.
Because if the Fed drops interest, and
not to say we couldn't push it out a little bit longer, but like I said, more feasible.
and then we're gonna need another 2 million or 1.8?
At some point, no, we'll need another, yeah, you're right, 3.1 in some point in the future. I don't remember what the it says, but it's further down.
Because it comes out smelling like a rose on every one of the advisors. I mean, pay what, 1%? Just to,
Yeah, the costs,
well, to be-
admin costs.
yeah. That's why we have to make sure that we're doing everything in our power. Combine the size, 2 million is, my opinion.
So we don't have any plan to borrow any other funds in 2024. Don't know about 2025 yet, part of the budget discussion, but there was no other anticipated borrowings in 2024 that we could have lumped.
I know this committee has talked about in the past, using, creating its own kind of funding source with dollars, landfill siting, a small dollar transaction, and talking about 100,000 of cost just to just get 2 million in here. Doesn't take 2 transactions. In my case. But anyway, they are progressing and making progress. I think I saw the development agreement wrapped up by 6.
What's that?
The building project.
Karma.
Oh, Karma? 26?
I thought it was.
Yeah, I thought it was sooner than that as well.
I thought it was a date in there. I was thinking that's probably going to be quite a bit sooner than that, isn't it?
Yeah, I see where it says before completion before January 1.
Yeah.
But I believe it's going to be sooner than that. They're already almost done with some of the work over there. I know Glenn said that they started back in April and anticipated by the end of the.
And are they taking controlling, but going to occupy all the lots? Buy-in as well.
Be determined.
Yeah, that's
That's part of the future. Okay.
I think their goal is to sell it. At least that's what they had envisioned when we were talking
Okay.
about it.
What do we need here, Daniel?
Nothing's just
Okay.
for
Information.
Yep.
See, we were working with we drafted
Colors. Oh, the development agreement.
Ariana?
recommend.
Debbie?
Debbie's the
All right, well, let's move on then, if you're here. Next item, I think, is reviewing February and I guess March statements are there. I don't know if we talk about them individually, together.
I would say separate items, but I
Right.
can talk about them together because they're fairly similar. Cash and investments in February, our total government funds was $63.8 million, and it dropped slightly down to $59.7 million due to some tax settlements and obvious payroll and payables. If you saw on the cash and investment summaries, we have a small amount of money in IC institutional capital. I've been talking with Bob Moore, who is our financial advisor over at ICM, about possibly moving those funds either out to ADM, to the LGIP, something, because we're just not getting the return, and all of our investments have, or all of our CDs have matured. It's been a long-standing relationship with them, so that's still, it's not 100% yet, but it's been something I've been looking at if you guys have advice. I wanted to keep the LGIP for a lot of our investments. They have a high rate of return. The local government investment boards. In ADM, we get high rate also, so I wasn't sure if you guys had advice from a investment standpoint. You can see that we have 3 different. So think about that. Landfill siting, we continue to collect that. They're spread across our capital funds with I believe it's about 17% going into the general fund. We're running at roughly $2.5 million for the year. Anything that exceeds the budget goes into the equipment replacement fund and street improvement fund, and then I provided the graph there for you. You can see over years we were kind of going up and down, but for the last couple quarters it's pretty stagnant right at the budgeted amount.
And that's the, that would be the more wanted.
Correct.
Yeah,
We
I
want to
think
keep it
some
on
of,
an even pace.
I think some of that historical variation is variations that falls in. But that's back and running.
And you can see the monthly rolling average. I mean, it's safe to say that you have your higher quarters and your lower quarters, and you have that flat budget all year. We don't fluctuate the budget.
You two meet with them periodically, once a year, whatever.
We should, but yeah, let's put that on the.
Probably would make sense to have conversation. But their crystal ball looks like.
Yeah, I've had some very brief discussions with them about expansion, or I'm sorry, the extension, and how far out they think that we might be able to go. The 2050 is a prediction, but like I said, there's so much that can happen now and then. So yeah, Kelly, let's put that on the calendar.
Send you an email right now.
All right, so the general fund is running roughly under our general transportation aids. Those come in quarterly, so we will get the first payment of that. You'll see those on the April statements. Ambulance resources, those started off strong in February, then it slowly started to decline. We ran into some issues with the new billing company. We had Andres Medical Billing, and I don't believe they were bought out. I think they just changed vendors or something to EMSMC. And in that change, there's just been some hiccups on how to make sure that we're collecting all of the revenue with the changes. And I know payroll and the girls over at the fire department have been working really hard about getting their billing back to match our billing. And actually, you'll see in May and June it skyrocketed, and I'm sure it's because we just started actually finally collecting some of the outstanding payments from the transition. Engineering fees that we're collecting are running above budget. Obviously, investment income is high. You'll see that pretty much all throughout all of the funds. Our expenditures are running under. There are some vacancies that are holding some of the departments more flat. The $7.9 million surplus is over budget, but we're collecting taxes slower this year than we have in the past. So I've noticed that our collection rate, even into April and May, has been low. Yeah, we're only at about 79% collection right now through May.
Any reason for that?
Not that
Is the last installment of that?
correct. I'll keep an eye out on that. Right, services carry forward. We paid our March installments, and the next ones will be in September. That'll be interest only. We pay for interest in March and interest in September. Our TIDs, I can give you a brief rundown on those. We collected roughly $2.9 million in increment. It has slowly declined, and I anticipate seeing another decline back in 2025. TID 3 closed in 2022. Those final taxing jurisdiction payments have been sent out. All of the remaining excess was transferred to the general fund, and that was to cover the Southwest Park purchase. We closed TID 3 in 2023. Those distribution payments were planned to be sent out in April. Those were, I believe they were actually sent out at the end of March. That went forward to the council. Some of that was equipment replacement fund, and then the street improvement fund.
Was 4.
Yes. Sorry, it was closed in 2023. TID
Right.
4 was, yes. So TID 5 collected $1.16 million of increment. The debt service of $1.88 million was paid in February. The TID has a roughly $700,000 fund balance, which does include $1 million advance that was given to support the debt service payments. Those have now been reversed because of the minimum assessment guarantee payment that was May. There's still $24.6 million of outstanding GO debt in TID 5, and we still have the $3.5 million MRO. However, based on the current calculations, it doesn't look like we'll touch that. Hope for growth in TID 5. If that happens, then we might revenue obligation. TID 6, that one has been pretty delayed in development. There had been some extensive development assumptions to be complete by 2024, and that hasn't been yet. That TID only has generated $292,000 in increment. We paid $495,000 in debt service. That TID is in the negative at the moment. It has $8.6 million in outstanding GO debt. We do have 3 developer agreements that are in place with minimum assessment guarantees in them. We have been collecting on those. That would be Copart, Verizon, and then Bear Development. There's been some discussions with Bear Development about the way that the agreement is set up and then how the minimum assessment guarantee distributed to the other developers. Yes, it was put into place that these other developers were going to over that minimum guarantee. So we've had some meetings. I'm actually having a meeting with John Reinhardt, who is one of the legal advisors for fair development, to get some of that taken care of. But
Don't we have Strauss yet too?
no, Strauss was taken over by Verizon. Back in 2003. Yes.
23.
Yep.
That's sick.
And there was one more development that has a minimum investment guarantee, but it doesn't go into effect until 2025 if they don't generate the increment, which is Rise Franklin. Rise. And these should be the same numbers that you see on the bid reports that I supplied to council. TID 7, there's no more activity in TID 7. It's fully developed. They have a $7.5 million fund balance. TID still has one remaining debt issuance of the $4.99 million. The mortgage has paid off, and then we are paying on a MRO with Elo Village. I didn't put it in here, but I can state that I know I had previously talked about with the council that $14.9 million MRO that we have with Elo Village is usually high income generated, especially with the decline over the last 5 years. So we did put a letter out to them just stating what our projections are like. Obviously subject to change, but based on what our assumptions are right now, and with the property assessment challenges, that it's going to be really hard for that $14.9 million obligation. It looks like it's going to fall really short. So we can pay them out of the fund balance that we have, only out of increment and out of the portion that we received for the sale, not pay them for the portion of the repayment based on the agreement. But that's where TID 7 sits. Do you have any questions?
One with, is there a projection as far as the 2030 or other, or am I thinking?
I didn't put it in here, but it was on the TID report that I gave to the council.
I
think
like
it was
2036. I wanted to say.
No, 2037 is TID 5, so I think TID 7's got to be 2040, I believe. But it could close early if we meet all the obligations. But I believe it's 2040.
What's the 5 million? Who holds that? That's able us.
Yes. We borrowed the money for them, and now we're just collecting the pay off the debt. Geo debt to pay for part of the Elo Village, and then we did the second mortgage.
Okay.
TID 8, we've got some active development in there. We also have some projects that have been coming down the pipeline that are in the works that might be introduced into TID 8. That's more to come. The $38,000 of debt service was paid in February. That TID has a negative $1 million fund balance due to lack of increment being generated at this time. It has also been talked about with our financial advisor, Ellers. I just spoke with him last week about that. There was an issue of the South 27th Street project. It was in the initial project plan. I want to say that between my position being vacant, Billy's position being vacant, there was a lack of communication on starting the project and not making sure that the funding was available. So I received an invoice last week, and I said, about. Come to find out, this project has started and has commenced and looks like it's going to be finished by the end of the summer, and it was anticipating a borrowing to be done for it back in 2022. It had never happened, and so it looks like we may be advancing some funds for the time being to cover that project, seeing if it's already started. But
We can do that from one to another without, I don't know all that legal. Where are you taking?
I think we're going to do the exact fee. Roughly, I think $11. Yes. Have to set up a amortization to either pay it back early or just pay it over the life of the
Infrastructure.
yes. The sewer project. We still have $3.5 million outstanding debt. The American Rescue Plan, the ARPA, we fully obligated all of our funds. I submitted those reports back in April. All the projects had to be input by December 31st and spent by December 1st of 2026. So now it's just working to complete those projects and getting those annual reports filed. Solid Waste Fund, tippage is running even to budget. If you look at it, looks like it's not because they're just 1 month behind, but all the other activity is occurring as budgeted. Capital Outlay Fund, got the resources. There was only a couple expenditures in the Capital Outlay Fund this year. Health Department has ordered their new vehicle. The phone system has been implemented. Police Department has all of their vehicles ordered for 2024. And then I believe DPW had something in there, which again you'll have to use once that's been purchased too. The Equipment Replacement Fund, again resources have been are expected. Fire Department sold one of their ambulances, and DPW has sold some vehicles and equipment, which will be under the property sale resources. Fire Department has ordered their battalion chief vehicle and their interim replacement ambulance. I believe they've already received that. Highway Department has ordered their front end loader as well, which surprisingly all of those came
Under budget?
under budget. We were unsure with vehicle prices. Street Improvement Fund, the general transportation aid we get, again, over 4 payments. We received the last one November. This next one came in April. 2024, there was $291,000 in tax levy that was allocated to the Street Improvement Fund. That was done by the mayor. As for the March financial report, the street improvement program contract had not been placed yet, but it has been. And that is well under budget. I believe they have 8 roads on that project. Capital Improvement Fund.
They're
Go ahead.
They're targeting what, about half a year? Expenditure?
They want roughly 3, between 3 and 4, but we put $2 million in this budget.
Okay.
That came in at right around 1.5, and then there was some additional. So, but it's still about 100,000 under budget total program. Yeah, we increased it a little bit this year from 1.5 to 2. The Capital Improvement Fund, obviously that's typically from borrowing. We didn't anticipate any borrowing in the Capital Improvement Fund in 2024, so we just had the interest income represent the majority of the revenue. Expenditure encumbrances relate to the projects that are currently in the works, and then I listed some of the major projects that we have going on: the fiber optic project, we have highway projects, park improvements, we have some trails. I think we have 5 or 6 Wisconsin DOT projects, the 116th Street Trail project, and then the school traffic light project. We have a couple minor ones in there too. Talking about the library air chiller is there. The water tower project, typically we would fund that out of the capital improvement fund and transfer that out. The development fund, that's impact fees. They have started off very strong this year. We've had many building permits pulled. Interest income is over budget. If you see a reduction in there, it's because council approved a refund due to the seasons at Franklin developer. Back in 2022, they were given impact fee rates at that time based on if they turned in all of their inspection paperwork by a certain date, and the previous director of inspections said if you turn it in, we will guarantee these 2022 impact fee rates. And when they were charged them in 2020, they were charged the 2020 rates. So we felt it was important to keep to our word, even though that director is no longer here. We refunded them the difference. We haven't made any transfers out of the impact fee fund into capital improvement, into debt service. That's typically what we do since we still have 4 outstanding debts in the impact fee fund. One for transportation, Drexel project, one for the library, one for the fire station, the law enforcement. We're just paying annual debt service payments out of the impact fee. Those also have been done. There's really been no activity in the utility development fund. The self-insurance fund resources are slightly below. That was because of the 3 pay periods in May. I said it should level out. I'm like, wait. We just met with our USI yesterday, which is our health insurance carrier. They had told us that my numbers here are pretty accurate, about $450,000 below budget for claims here, which is a lot lower than 2023. And that's been offset by some of the stop loss properties that we had. We had a huge high claims costs in 2023. So our fund balance diminished roughly $1 million in 2023, and you'll see that next month at year end. It's roughly $600,000 lower at this time than 2020. The retiree health fund benefit payments have been stable. We've typically added additional contributions to the plan. In previous years, I believe the last time that was in 2022. We did not anticipate any additional payments in 2023 or 2024, as we've pretty much leveled out at 100%. Investments have been really good. I just got, about a week ago, our actuarial report, so I can bring that to the sent that. So that was done. And there was really nothing else for the retiree health fund is funded. So.
Is the retirees, if I could ask Danielle, I do get some feedback from retirees about what they pay every month. Is that frozen or is that going to be increasing? Because I'm trying to.
For the health insurance,
yeah.
it was increased last year.
Right, considerably.
Yeah. So,
but moving forward, when is there a meet on that, or how does that get worked out?
We would know more. When did we say? In August, September? August.
Well,
we have our next meeting.
Right.
USI to see what that retiree
End of August. It's
like.
about 2 weeks turnaround by the time that we'll have the recommended budget. So we're going out for our market.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess my goal is to see if we can not increase from this year to next year because they got whacked pretty hard.
For retirees?
Yep. That's a big time. Big. And that's when I say that, it has that trickle down effect of who's coming here to work knowing they're going to get whacked with the retirees' health insurance, not as marketable as other places they could work. That's the whole premise. Divert from
So unless you guys had any questions, launch or anything.
Anybody further? Is there ready to share with the council, or do we need a
Nope, it would be a recommendation.
Okay. Typically, what we do with these is any changes be noted, corrections or revisions, otherwise refer them on to the council. Their review.
I would make that motion.
Do we do them together, or do you want them separate?
We can do them together, and I can do them together.
And I'll second.
Motion to accept the and March 2024 statement. Is that it?
Yes.
And that's a second. Further discussion, questions, comments? Typically, we start off the year and spending is low and revenues are coming in kind of at other. Hearing no further discussions, all in favor of that recommendation? Send them for by the council. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that motion.
I'm extremely busy with the audit, so that's why I didn't have much on this agenda, and you'll see there's quite a few things moving forward. Again, we were waiting on the finalization of our actuarial report, so now that that has been completed, we're pretty much in the final stages of the audit. I hope to have the preliminary financial results and year-end budget alignment for July, and then the audited financials would be in August, and the auditors will come here to present that. That's future agenda items. Also in July, I anticipate the April and May reports. They're actually both already done, so I will have those done for the July meeting.
Is Moody's going to be looking for 23 input?
They have asked, and I have reached out to our auditors to see if they could give me anything before our Moody's call on Thursday. I haven't heard, or they haven't given me anything as of yet, but I have provided them. I mean, our books are closed already, so I've given Moody's a trial balance.
They've
and
got
stuff, but
internal.
yes.
I hate that. I don't know that would have a negative impact on the oven by itself, but give it the timing. But they, since we're sitting here, 30th halfway through.
When is that bond reading call?
Thursday.
Thursday at what time?
Told you already. I even wrote out a piece of paper for you.
Thanks for throwing me under the bus. I just have
10
to ask a
a.m.
question. You can say, John, 10 a.m., 11 a.m.? I know you sent it to me. For the record, I know you sent it to me, but I'm asking you.
Yes.
I know it's Thursday.
I actually don't see you on here, so I will forward
Oh,
you the
thank you.
invite.
Madam Director of Administration. Thursday at what time?
10 a.m.
10 a.m.? And is this going to be somewhere in here, or is it going to be
It's
At your desk.
yeah,
a
it's
desk thing? Okay. Thank you.
If you want, you can take the call with me.
Yeah.
Because I know you're not a fan of the.
It'd be nice if we set up in here, but if you don't mind, Thursday at 10 a.m.
Yep.
Thank you.
And then I'll anticipate bringing that actuarial report for July also. And
Please.
if you guys have any further things that you want to discuss, have me bring forward. This was just some of the few items. I know I try and look back at years of, okay, it's June. What has typically been brought in June? What has typically been brought in these months? Minus what's already. So I can also, maybe what I'll do is give just a brief update on the budget process.
Yeah, I was just saying. Timeline on it.
Yeah, so we presented the timetable to the council back in April. It's already been started. I've sent out emails to the department. It's been open that they can start in budget. I've been starting my look
And
at
we're
it, but I know,
positioning the benefits for health and LTD, life insurance, we're positioning all of that to have the renewals come in way
little
before that, so
sooner,
we can
yeah.
have it all together at once and do a better planning than we were able to last year with the renewals coming in the 700 that hit after we had already
so I'll
had
bring
a
that
budget.
forward, sort of budget, just to even, I can, like I said, touch on it a couple of, and just, a lot of the revenue information doesn't help, I guess, so you can get all the expenses in there right away, it's then trying to balance it after the fact, but I will make sure that, like,
Yep.
in a couple months, to give some full update.
Anyone else have any comments, additions? I don't know how we stand on investment policy. Cycle. 5-year.
Yes, you're right, and I know we brought forward to council the overall review of our and administrative policies, but yeah, so that is on our agenda to
Okay.
be looking at, but yes.
And that was a conversation too that I had separately with our auditor as well about tightening up our procedures and process.
Some of that doesn't, unless the recommend that are asked. There's some kind of rolling timelines. July 23rd is problematic for a date. Definitely.
That's not a problem for anybody else to leave it. I can ask the others. It is.
Anything else? Anyone?
You had said that the financial processes, procedures don't typically stop here. Is that something that maybe we should do? It seems to me it would make a lot of sense to try to bring some best practices for accounting and implement them here and review them together, the committee.
See, we don't have many. I know that our OPEB policy, I believe our debt policy and our policy here first. Our purchasing policy, I think, stopped here. But that's also been last time.
Yeah.
20 was the last time a policy was brought forward, so I'd be.
Yeah.
Those
Again,
are the ex.
that is at the,
Right.
the request of the council. Looking for things. Johnson, and a lot of the items that did not me to ask one question. We asked. Process, but
Oh yeah.
forward.
Yeah, I've been very, since I started, making sure we're already all, I'm not already, we are all caught up on bank recs. We typically have those done,
And I know, when we instituted credit card with the water, that seemed long. I can turn out. Starting to find it as it were using it for convenience factor, but, that's settled down.
I haven't had any complaints about not getting.
Okay.
I have a good account up on them.
Okay.
Every day she's emailing. Yeah, it's the ongoing issue.
I thought it was
But
more
I
the
haven't.
back end, just the reporting and all those going through vendor for, being able to allocate, break it out, or. Whatever.
I
haven't
not
heard
heard any
Okay.
issues about
All right,
credit
just-
cards.
Anyone else? Otherwise, I think
Move. Second.
Motion second to adjourn. Further discussion that I see? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much, everyone.